Right, good morning guys, hope you are well. Today brings us on a bit of an adventure in Old Smoky. We're here in London. Specifically, we made ourselves a way down here from Bletchley. Took about an hour, just shy of an hour, and we are here for the purpose of going to Highgate Cemetery. It's just a super cool place. You've got obviously the graves of your famous, infamous, there was obviously tragedies, there were suicides, unfortunately there's also murders. But anyway guys, it should be a good explore. It's got them really eerie, creepy vibes, and it's something I've wanted to do for a while. Haven't been here in probably over 2.5 years now, so let's go and do this. Arriving at Archway Tube Station, my first stop is this very unusual stone. This is in fact the Whittington stone. If any of you recall the fables, the tales of Dick Whittington and his cat, that is the said cat. This is the stone which marks the spot where he arrived back in the UK after his travels, which I believe he was a merchant at sea, and he then went on to be 4 times Lord Mayor of London. And he just sat here at the side of the road in a grated area en route to where we specifically want to be today. Didn't really give it a second thought when actually looking at this. It's actually the only pantomime, Dick Whittington and his cat, that I see back in the late 70s with my nan and granddad at the London Palladium, I believe it was. Right, next up on our way to our destination, we come across this memorial bench amongst many here, and this will depict someone who we've got a good possibility of seeing today, and that is one George Michael. Right guys, we are here. Welcome to one of the big 7, as they call it. This is the famous Highgate Cemetery. It holds somewhere in the region of 120,000 bodies, 53,000 graves, and it truly is eerie yet awesome. And it's all the decay when nature's taken over. Trees have split graves in half, those lost in their final resting place, and of course we give them the utmost respect. But it's quite chilling. Even the temperature is 10 degrees cooler here on one of the hottest days of the year here in the UK than what it is outside in the park across the road. Just look at all the tombs shifting over time. These all would have once been level. I think in its earliest form this started life, the contradiction itself with what is actually here, back in the early to mid 1830s. At that time and up to around about the 1850s, the whole country was synonymous with grave robbers. So if I can see a grave with a mort safe on it, similar to this sort of thing here, but it would actually go clamped over the top to stop people from retrieving jewels, etc., that people would have been buried with back in the past. To be honest with you, most people nowadays are cremated, most of my family included. There will be significant people that will be known to the outside world now residing within here. If I can see them and point them out, I shall certainly tell their story if I can. Actually, there's one coming up directly to my left right now. That is, of course, Alexander Litvinenko. He was once special ops Russian. He come over here, sort of departed his ways from the old Russia, and they were hell-bent on terminating him, and that's exactly what they did. Was it polonium in his tea? And it just, over not exactly a long period of time, but it just killed him. Evil people. Of course, this goes without saying, probably one of the greatest artists of all time. That is, of course, the grave of George Michael. His mum in the middle, and his elder sister to the left hand side. Tragic loss. Thank you so much for the music over the years, be it Wham or as a solo artist. I think it was Too Funky was probably one of my favourites, and Last Christmas from Wham. Thing that would of course worry you, if you was in here by yourself and you've got these shingle pathways around you and you know yourself to be the only person here in the evening, and then you start hearing the footsteps behind you. Of course, I do go into doing all that paranormal kind of stuff, but I won't do it here out of respect. Some of these are so old. Of course, over the years, this place has been synonymous with the Hammer horror franchise movies. So the likes of Frankenstein and the Evil Monster from Hell, Dracula 1972, The Blood of Dracula. And then more of your Harry Potter kind of stuff. Of course, I believe it was Fantastic Beasts that also had clips shot around here as well. Hate to think how much money is actually involved in the, not only the upkeep of these, which I am quite obliged to and quite happy to pay my £10 entrance fee, because of the fantastic work that all these people that keep this in any sort of condition. But I wonder how much it would have been to be entombed here. Not so much now, but maybe perhaps back in the day. See, this is what I absolutely adore and love. When the vine creepers get hold. They have been growing over that, must be 150 years perhaps. Pay as much respect as possible, but it's ironic that it's Roger Lloyd Pack, I believe. This is a grave of someone by the name of Trotter, And here's, of course, was Trigger in Only Fools and Horses, and he's in here somewhere. You will come across these graves which has the tape round the top of them, and that's pretty much depicting that the area itself is unstable. Like the grave itself will actually collapse in on itself, so it's for the safety of yourselves. See, like the danger do not enter, it's there for your safety. Look at this, look, trees that are fallen across some of the graves. And this area here, which I'm just about to go into, is like specifically something out of an Indiana Jones movie. That is your Egyptian Avenue, full of vaults with entombed. This could literally be off a Hollywood film set. But it's actual, it's real. If you are of a nervous disposition, I can quite imagine that this would be pretty terrifying. If you notice the torches, the flames, they're turned upside down, indicating that life has been pretty much snuffed out. It's just the moss, the green discoloration. It adds its own certain element of real beauty to it. It's not at all morbid. And then you enter the Circle of Lebanon. Years ago, this was adorned by a huge cedar tree up there. There's like a little sapling up there now, slowly growing. But this is all your mausoleums. Probably each of them carry up to about perhaps 12, sometimes maybe less bodies. They'll all be sort of shelved within that area. It's one of the most truly awesome places to walk around. To be frank, I don't quite know if there's anywhere else in this country that's on a par. It's not the oldest cemetery in London, one of the big 7, but I think this one has got the uniqueness of its layout like this. See, some of these, the tombs would sit around here. Strange, this layout's totally different from everything else. Here I can't really pick out anyone synonymous name-wise. It could be anyone from literature to politics. I don't think there's any artistry, singers or actors in this spot. This is more of your wealthy bankers, custodians of different parts of the country who have family heritage, and they all end up being entombed here. Starting to crack at the seams a little bit. That's a complete loop of this anyway. Look at the size of this place. That is huge. The mausoleum of Julius Beer. Very wealthy. Just look at these door knockers on here.
Julius Beer himself and his wife.
More incredible vine creepers. Nature really regaining a hold in places in this cemetery. The sleeping lion that is Nero. You gotta wake up, buddy. The whole of the United Kingdom needs to wake up. There is, of course, life still out amongst this lot. I can hear bees, there will be birds, little deers, badgers, foxes, of course your squirrels, even mice and rats. Hello there, little fella. I'm sure those who reside here don't mind you being here with them. Of course you get the tales that are synonymous with these sort of places. There is apparently a Highgate vampire. Goat man is supposed to frequent a pathway, a walkway on an old train track that goes around the back entrance. And there's all sorts of other cryptids and creatures that are supposed to reside. But of course there is never any evidence. It's just an endless sea of entombed deceased people. It's shocking, it really is. And this is only the west side. There's an east side to this as well. I think I'd go out on a limb and turn around and say that this is pretty much more of a Victorian era, and the other side is more postmodern. Although of course you have got the Litvinenko, George Michael, etc. They obviously found a spot here where they could be entombed. I dare say with the situation with George Michael himself, his mother and sister already being here, that was already a given that this is where he would end up. Now you've got all these paths and they all depict names, and there is a specific grave, although I haven't found it yet. It's probably, if it's going to be anywhere, I'd imagine it's here. That name itself says everything you need to know. Catherine Dickens, the wife of Charles Dickens. He famed of, was it Oliver Twist? Scrooge, etc. She is interned round this side somewhere. It's just a basic flat grave. I've often felt that I was more Dickensian or Victorian era wise. I think I'm living out of my timeline. Now look at that. I did not expect that one little bit. I did mention about the creatures, and there we have a fox. How wonderful is that? Have a old sleep over there. How cool. Having a good old doze right there, aren't you? Certainly flicking them ears around to knowing that there's people around you. I mean, you know harm. Magnificent eagles adorning the top of a lot of the tombs around here. An over top view shot of your circle of Lebanon, and there is your new cedar tree that will grow on the top. I guess the old one, it was maybe what, 10 times the size of that thing. It's spread out, but I imagine the roots would make what is below crumble. Gives off the vibes of the Haunted Mansion and all the comical sayings that they've got on the tombstones around that area. Look at that, a full grown tree that's made its way out of a tomb. As I always turn around and say, nature finds a way. So in a way, that person there, that Edward Dixon, he kind of lives on throughout this tree. See what I mean about the unsafeness? There will be a grave casket probably below that level there, and it's obviously collapsed over a period of time. Stunning little horse there. We are just coming up to probably my all-time favourite tomb that resides in here. That of Thomas Sayers. Now you can talk about famous peoples. This guy was an absolute legend. Back in the time before Queensberry rules, the old boxing, he was a bare knuckle boxer. In fact, the last bare knuckle boxer champion, was it of the world or was it certainly of the United Kingdom? Sitting in front of him there, that would have been Lion, who was a black mastiff, his companion, always with him. And in terms of boxing, I suppose probably either Mike Tyson or Muhammad Ali, Cassius Clay level. Just basically simply the best. Regards to his surviving family, a proper legend right there. I can't honestly make the name out. but it's obviously a very old cricketer. On the paperwork I've seen it says Lily-white, but I'm not sure if that says Lily-white on the tomb or not. But it's certainly a cricketer because someone has placed an old cricket ball there as well. So maybe he was a fast bowler or something. And that's got like the cricket pad. Rest in peace. I think we'll make our way over to the east side now. One specific grave that I have not seen, which I know is around here. Unfortunately, I think the area is closed off. Is that of one Hugo Ekiog. He was a centre-back for Middlesbrough and Aston Villa. Played between probably his playing career, good maybe 400 games. I think he played for Sheffield United as well. After leaving football as a player, he went on to manage the Spurs under-23 side, and it was a training ground incident where unfortunately he had a cardiac arrest and they couldn't bring him back, and he lays just up the hill to the left somewhere. That is an old glass house. That's an old glass house. That was up for sale for a few million a few years ago. Don't actually know whether I'd like to live there or not, overlooking a cemetery. Fine to walk around, but living there's a whole different ball game. The hill this side going to the house is actually pretty steep. Wonder how on earth they ever got planning permission for it. The noise you're hearing is the road that goes between the east and the west side, which is Swains Road. It's actually pretty cool. It'll always be remembered what this guy looked like. There we have it. We've come across the tomb of an old great. I think he had a handful of England games. Definitely 4. May he rest in peace. And then on the way out there are some more tombs with, as I said, the torch facing down to say that life has been snuffed out. Pretty crude way of saying it, to be honest with you. Again, this Goldhammer tomb looks like it belongs on a Hollywood backlot. Absolutely incredible. Okay, on the east side of the cemetery now, and the first significant one I've come across is the writer Douglas Adams, 1952 to 2001. The number 42 there's a bit of a giveaway. He, of course, synonymous with the writing of the well-known film The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. A true favourite of mine and my sister's growing up. It's just a sea of tombstones. Be it that you may have been rich, famous, or just general normal folk like ourselves, we can't take anything with us. And this is pretty much, it's why saying that, it's not nowadays. Most people get, I think since maybe the 70s, a lot more people get cremated nowadays than what they do get buried. I think it's a lot to do with your faith I think Catholic, Roman Catholic still have a lot of burials. Church of England, etc. A lot more cremations. Not sure about other faiths, to be honest with you. But as I said, as before on the other side, if there are specific tombs that there's a story, a name that I recognise from public history past, etc., should we say, I'll point it out to you. As before, where the land shifts, the graves start to sink, get broken up. There were some people out there for sure who left their mark with a sense of humour. Dead. And that's a great old legend from the 80s, 90s. Jeremy Beadle, watch out Beadle's about. I believe he had polio. I know one hand was smaller than the other. Truly tragic. Taken far too soon. A lot better than a lot of your modern day stars. If anyone remembers, he has started out in Game for a Laugh. It is hard to tell when you look at these graves whether they're synonymous, but obviously it gives off the vibes that he was a football player. Just coming up on my left now is a well-known artist of his time. One Robert Andrew McLaren, Malcolm McLaren. Strangely, he's got a death mask at the front. Had his hand in a lot of pies. Music, art. Quite a cultural sensation going from the 70s into the 80s and beyond. Tell you one thing, guys, you could certainly get lost in this place. Just looking around. It's endless. Of course, that is 53,000 tombs. They do supply you with a guide map which will point out significant ones. I'm pretty much going off what I remember from last time. I'm pretty good that my memory's almost photographic in remembering things, so I can pinpoint where I went to last time. But as much as the rich and fat, I love this. All the graves on top of each other, the eerie vibes it gives off. And I hope that's sort of coming across to you guys. Yes, it just works out as a walk in a cemetery, but it's giving out some of the story of the lives of those that have been lost, that are now entombed here, and the eerie vibes of anyone who does your Halloween haunts and things like that. And I just kind of needed a day to myself to do something that I would enjoy. And I'll also put it out there to those of you who also do. It is seriously overgrown at the back entrance here. I'm guessing they just take it in turns, doing little bits and pieces at a time. It must be a thankless task trying to keep on top of it all. I mean, look, totally hidden. There may be those of you watching from other countries. I don't know what you've got in the way of cemeteries. Put down in the comments below what yours are like, size wise, how many people are there. As I said, 170,000 people here. Old Victorian, I'm guessing sort of vaudeville act, comedian. Now my grandparents on my mother's side, not my nan, she was German, but my grandfather, who's a Geordie, him and his original family sailed across, like many did around the time of the Titanic. I think they went out 1916, I can't remember what the boat was, SS something or whatever. They're marked down as Ellis Island, and they become vaudeville acts on Broadway in New York before coming back. The statue of Karl Marx there, the start of Marxism. Certainly not my cup of tea. I don't do any sort of politics. I must admit, the picture of the guy with the beard is very synonymous, as I've said before when I was here last time. It does remind me a heck of a lot like my father. Sort of kind of makes me think, with the dictator that the UK has got in control now, that Keir Starmer, two-tier Starmer, what sort of grave sculpture you'd have on that? Might as well be a giant cock at the moment. So he's certainly making a mess of things. Currently on the search for a specific grave again. An all-time favourite, not just him, the entire cast of a fantastic show. Sadly a few of them gone now, but some of his one-liners, you'll see what I mean when I find him. That's of course if I do. Well, here we go, folks. Hello Trig, how are ya? Now don't be dismayed about, obviously, Trigger's tomb laying flat. They're going to get some new bits and pieces put on it. But there we go, find me where the crossroads where old ghosts meet. Love of my life on Hooky Street. Only Fools and Horses actor Roger Lloyd Pack, aka the one and only Trigger. I dare say with his broom he's really cleaning up the place. Definitely missed obviously by his daughters, famous themselves, and by the rest of the world. Simpler times, folks. And obviously went on from that to the Vicar of Dibley, played a Nava character that was very much loved. But sadly we all go in the end. Okay, time to work my way out, but not before seeing this guy. Synonymous. A lot of you won't know how infamous not just so much him but his gang was. A specific crime, let's see if I can work it out. 1963, happened approximately 8 miles away from where I live. Just the south side of Leighton Buzzard, on a place called Bridco Bridge is what I call it, other people call it different things. But his gang, the Reynolds gang, are synonymous with a great train robbery. It was his gang, Buster Edwards, that had the audacity to do that great train robbery. And unfortunately it's one of them crimes that would be on the side of the pure romantics, stealing old money that was going to get ready for burnt. If it wasn't for them attacking the guard and giving him a serious injury, they would have been well fond of. But apart from that, they come out as a bunch of thugs. But yeah, this is the grave of the leader of the gang, Bruce Reynolds. Anyway guys, that's going to do it for today's vlog. Thank you so much for joining me here at this truly majestic site. one of the big 7 cemeteries in London. I'm going to have to get around to doing the other 6 at some point. It's been good. It's strange, bizarre, eerie, everything all put in one bag, but it's strangely enjoyable with the peacefulness of the tranquilness of what you're surrounded with, and sort of getting a chance to maybe tell some of the stories of those that we remember, obviously, like Trigger, Reynolds, who obviously was a criminal, but you've got other people, politicians, famous people, artists, singers, George Michael, of course, and just to be here in their presence is quite an honour. And with that, guys, check out, if you're into this sort of stuff, I've done paranormal investigations, I do a heck of a lot of urbex, haven't done any of them for quite a while, and just go out and just sort of explore the world, doing something a bit different. It's sort of, if it's quirky, I'll try and find it. With that, guys, enjoy the rest of your week. I'll see you in the movies. Bye for now.